This video will take a look at the number 7, number 70, 77, and 777, and the association that number 7, in many of its variations, has relation to Donald Trump and to Israel. Now, on Wednesday, this isn't current Wednesday, this is going back to 2017. So on Wednesday, President Trump announced the United States is formally recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and would begin the process of moving the US Embassy to the Holy City. The move sent shockwaves around the world and is likely that it would see widespread violence erupt in the Middle East. But what most people don't realize is that the timing of this announcement was extremely significant. As you'll see below, this came on the exact date on the Hebrew calendar when the partition plan for Palestine was adopted 70 years ago. And it is yet another example of how Trump and Israel are linked by the number 7 over and over again. Let's take this one step at a time. The modern state of Israel was born on May 14th, 1948, and US President Harry Truman formally recognized the nation on that same day. So 2018 is Israel's 70th birthday, and many believe that it was not a coincidence that Donald Trump formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel just prior to this very important anniversary. In fact, the US Embassy in Jerusalem should be ready to open by the time May 14th rolls around. But even more incredible is the fact that President Trump's announcement took place on the 17th of Kislev, which is the precise date on the Hebrew calendar when the partition plan for Palestine was adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1947. The year 2017 is exactly 70 years from 1947, and many are drawing parallels between that period of time and the 70-year Babylonian exile that we read about in the Bible. Of course, the Babylonian exile was formally ended by King Cyrus, and many have compared Trump to a modern-day Cyrus. Incredibly, President Trump and Israel appear to be linked by the number 7 in many other ways as well. Here are a few examples. Donald Trump won the presidential election on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 7th year, 7th month, and 7th day in office. On Trump's first full day in office, he was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old, and it happened in year 577 on the Hebrew calendar. Donald Trump was born exactly 700 days before Israel declared independence on May 14, 1948. 777 days after Trump's birth, Israel was exactly 77 days old. Israel's 70th anniversary will come exactly 700 days after Donald Trump's 70th birthday. Could all these remarkable numbers simply be the result of chance? And it says there, maybe I don't think so, and I agree, I don't think so. There's too many references to the number 7, 770, 77, 777, all over the place. So I started looking into it a little bit more just in the last couple of hours, and I found some interesting things. The Queen and Prince Philip celebrated their 70th anniversary on the 20th of November. On the 29th of November 1947, the UN General Assembly voted in favour of a resolution which adopted the plan for the partition of Palestine. 70 years and 7 days later, Donald Trump announced on December the 6th, 2017, that Jerusalem was Israel's capital. Now, sticking with the theory of 777, 70, or 777, I looked at the date on which Donald Trump declared Jerusalem Israel's capital, which was on the 6th of December 2017. 70 days from that date falls on the 14th of February 2018, so one of the watch days that we've been talking about, which is Valentine's Day. Every time I say Valentine's Day, in my mind I just instantly connect it to the Valentine's Day massacre, and obviously that's an event that already happened, but it's something that could happen again in terms of a wide-scale 9/11 style false flag event. Then we've got, obviously, as I've talked about already, North Korea celebrating their 70th anniversary on February the 8th, when they usually celebrate it on April the 25th. So that's another day I'm going to be watching, which is February the 8th, to see if anything significant happens. As I mentioned before, again, that's the same day as a potential government shutdown, and we see what's happening with the markets at the moment. The Dow Jones itself has lost over 1,100 points in the last 2 days. And obviously when it opens up again tomorrow, we'll see if that trend continues or if the market rebounds. Not too sure. Another interesting fact is Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump's opponent in the presidential race, was 70 years old, or is 70 years old at the time. Now, her birthday is on October the 26th, 1947, so she won't be 71 until October the 26th, 2018. So there's a lot of references to 7 here. One that interests me the most is this 70 days after Donald Trump's declaration of Jerusalem as Israel's capital being February the 14th. So, as I said, I'm going to keep a very close eye on that. It was 70 years after the 1947 declaration on the 29th of November that Israel had its 70th anniversary for it being declared a nation by the UN. But obviously, as I've read in the earlier news report just there, it did say that even though the UN declared Israel as a state on the 29th of November 1947, they didn't declare independence for themselves until May 17th, I believe it was, if we read in that report. Give me 1 second and just have a quick check. I like to be accurate with these things. May 14th. So on May 14th, 1948, a couple of months after the UN declared them as a state, is when Israel had their Declaration of Independence. Now, Israel are not celebrating their 70th anniversary on May 14th. They will be celebrating it on April the 19th, which is another date that has come up. I think J.K. Buggout pointed out that date. And it's been a date that's been playing with my mind a little bit, but I haven't really talked about it, kind of waiting to see if anything happens in February. And then obviously March and April have their dates already set out, and I'm not sure if we're going to get there, but as I said, it's significant that Israel will be celebrating their 70th anniversary on the 19th of April, which is Iyal 4. And obviously, if you're looking for a reference to 23 on that date, then obviously just with these two numbers, 19 and 14, you've got 23 there. I haven't really looked too much into the number aspect of that, but I thought it was interesting that it would be occurring on April 19th, which is a date that I've heard about. So I thought I'd just point that out. The last thing I wanted to point out, so that's just how to pronounce. The last thing I wanted to point out is something that YouTuber Sissy Missy pointed out to me a while ago, but also pointed out again today, which is from September the 11th, 2001, which is when the first 9/11 attacks happened, 6,000 days exactly from that date is February the 14th, 2018. So again, there is significance on that date. So not only is it 70 days from when Donald Trump declared Jerusalem as Israel's capital, but it's also 6,000 days exactly from the 9/11 attacks. So I'll be keeping an eye on the 8th of February in terms of government shutdown and the North Korean significant event that they plan to do to mark their army's founding. And I'll also be keeping an eye out on the dates I've mentioned before, which is the 14th, Valentines Day, the 15th, the Chinese New Year, Day of the Sun, Day of the Shining Star, and all that kind of stuff I've already talked about. The 16th, just logically, because it follows on from the 15th, up until the 18th, which is the third lunar day in the first lunar month. And then after that, if nothing happens, there's a couple of dates in March to look out for, possibly March the 10th, March the 11th, and then we're going to April. And I have a few dates in April that I'm thinking about as well, like April the 1st, obviously, for April Fool's Day and the Star of Easter, which is referred to in the iPet Goat video, April the 7th, and April the 19th, which is for obvious reasons, because it's the day that Jerusalem will celebrate their 70th anniversary since they declared themselves a nation. That's the end of my video. I hope you found it interesting and informative. I certainly found the research interesting and engaging, and I felt it was necessary to share. I hope that you guys are ready for whatever's coming. What I have noticed, though, rather remarkably, is the comments, the negative comments in regards to people, how they used to say things like, "Oh, no one knows the time of the rapture," and "Oh, this is all BS," and stuff like that, have really reduced. And one would hope that's because they've enlightened themselves to the information that's out there right in front of their faces, instead of going on YouTube to watch music videos and videos of people pranking each other they've actually used the time that they've got to research and try and educate themselves, and just be more aware of the situations that's going on around them. And I find that encouraging. So yeah, I really support that. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.